men and women of the Air Force Material Command, in keeping with one of the oldest traditions in the military service, pay special tribute to Colonel Chris Snyder on the occasion of his retirement from the United States Air Force. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Brigadier General Jason E. Lindsay, Director of Strategic Plans, Programs, Requirements, and Analysis, Air Force Material Command. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of ruffles and flourishes, presentation of the colors, and the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Rob Shell.
Post the color.
Colors. White. Forward. Arm. Forward. Arc. Colors. Halt. Present. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Was that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward. Arms. Colors. Color turn. Arch.
Thank you, Mr. Shell, for that outstanding rendition of our national anthem, and also the Wright Patterson Honor Guard for the presentation of the colors. And now invite Reverend Paul Norton to come forward and offer the invocation.
Let's pray together. God, we gather here today to say thank you for your faithfulness to Colonel Snyder and his faithfulness to you in discharging his duties in the United States Air Force. Thank you for your faithfulness throughout the many stops along the way in his fruitful career. Thank you for providing support and encouragement for his family over the years. Thank you for his service that has allowed families like my own to enjoy opulence and freedom here in our nation. Thank you for the years ahead that he has serving you and aiding his community. We ask that you would give him direction and encouragement with his next steps in life. Bless his family as they begin this new chapter together. And may we enjoy your blessings together today as we celebrate this. In the name of Christ, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Norton. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. There are a number special guests here today, we ask that you please hold your applause until everyone in each category is introduced. Colonel Snyder's wife, Laura, their daughter, Maya, and her fiance, Kyle, their daughter, Mallory, their sons, Ethan and Lucas, Colonel Snyder's parents, Dave and Judy Snyder, his sister, Karen, and her husband, John, and their son, Sam, his mother's cousin, Tim, and his wife, Rita, his sister-in-law, Katusha, and her daughters, Madison, Macy, and Malin, and his niece, Mackenzie, her husband, Sergeant Adam Shade, and their sons, Atlas and Stratton. To all other distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, and co-workers who have come to pay special tribute to Colonel Snyder, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brigadier General Lindsay.
All right, well, good afternoon. So I didn't get to sit down for nearly long enough, right? Right, Laura? I mean, it is. All right. I don't know how many of you got in here before the torrential rain began, but it is something out there. Also, can you hear me if I do this? Okay, good. So good afternoon, and thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Rob. Where'd Rob go? For that incredible rendition. Thank you, Reverend Norton, for being here and blessing us today. And thank you all for joining us. Chris's family. All right, so I ran in here late, so I didn't get to do the normal shake all your hands. I've met several of you before, but I didn't get to do all that before we started like I would have liked, but I will for sure after. But we're so glad that all of you could be here. I don't know, an unusually large family contingent, which I love, right? which is amazing. And of course, all the friends and family, former coworkers, current coworkers, Team 589, who Chris works with today, Team LCMC Engineering, who he used to work with here, and then all the other friends and family, I think, from the long career. Thank you all. I always start by saying, I want to get one thing clear. I'm looking directly at the family for a reason, because this is for you. Like, it's only a little bit for Chris. It's for you, because it is so important to me, it's important to, I believe, to our Air Force, that you know, right? You guys are all part of what we consider the Air Force Materiel Command family. You're absolutely part of the Air Force family, and you don't get out just because Chris retires. That family relation remains. It's really important to me, to us, that you all know and understand how valuable Chris's service has been to our nation over this nearly 29 years. And that, like I say, I always start with, that's really the reason in my mind that we do these things. So we are here to send him off in style. I've just realized if I stand back here, the sound is better, but then I can't see him. I'm like, I don't know if that's so it's tricky to do justice to a nearly 29-year career in a ceremony like this, but we're going to give it our best, and I'm honored to be part of it. You often hear us say in the Air Force, every airman has a story. Certainly after a 29-year career, Chris has got a story. He's got lots of stories. And a lot of us know, unfortunately, you can't talk about most of them. Which is not that I'm going to get off the hook easy, but suffice to say, generally speaking, this extraordinary airman has been in some very, very special places at some very, very consequential times in our nation's history. But when you talk to somebody in advance of a meeting like this or a ceremony like this, you get a lot of stories. I'm going to dive right to the best one, because I've already said he's been at some special places at some consequential times. I often frame my talks like this around that sort of notion about a special place and time. But there's only one that I think I'm going to talk about this time, and it's Vegas, baby, Vegas, because that's where he met Laura. And I wanted so badly to be able to tell a story about how they ran off to Vegas to get hitched, except that he says, no, it wasn't really like that. And so I don't know. I'll let the family decide, but I love the ran off to Vegas to get hitched story. Mostly I'm going to focus on really who the man Chris Snyder is and what he's meant to our Air Force and to our nation. So we'll start with, so here we are, like the National Museum of your United States Air Force, which to me is like, I mean, it's like a shrine to air power, right? Look around, all these relics, all these shrines to what it is that makes air power what it, the special thing that it is. The quick sideline is, you all know that you are all part of this amazing heritage. You are all part of this story. We should all be honored and thrilled to be able to be in a place like this. But I want you guys to know that your dad, your husband, your son, your family member is like directly part of so much of this history. The number of airplanes in this museum that he has flown. You say a thing like that and you think I'm going to give you the answer. I don't know, but I hope you make your dad walk you around and tell you, because it's a bunch. I know we have all of these things here, and he has flown them. The F-16, the F-15, the T-36, the C-12. I don't know if we have a C-172. I don't think so. KC-135, a T-6, an AC-130, and a whole bunch more. I think that both he has operated and that are here. But more significantly than that, we'll talk a bit more, as a flight test engineer, more than has flown them, Chris made direct, meaningful contributions to improving a whole lot of the other things that are here. Multiple UAVs, the RQ-4, a whole bunch of other ones. Again, F-15, F-16, F-18, which weirdly I think we have here, even though it's a Navy platform. Special Ops helicopters, F-117, F-35, F-22, B-21, B-2, sorry, I said B-21, not that one. B-1, B-2, KC-46. In the course of this career, he has directly made more effective, more efficient, more lethal, made those platforms better. So what better place than we could possibly do this for someone like Chris? Like I said already, the things you learn when you talk to someone to prepare for a ceremony like this and you read through their record, he has worked on some very, very cool stuff. I'm already promised I'm not going to do the recount the entire career kind of retirement speech. But it's eye-watering when you read through a whole lot of the things that are in there that he got to be part of. Because like I said, what I am way more interested in and what I think is deeply more important is the person that he has been the whole time that he has served our nation. The lives he has touched and the good that he has done for all of us. A lot of you know, I very often, right, I do time and place, special time, special place. I do 3 words. The 3 words that I think about when I think about the person who we are promoting or retiring in ceremonies like this, they are usually adjectives. Sometimes there's a noun thrown in. Like for Chris, you can't think about Chris without thinking the noun, nobody, engineer, right? I mean, he's like the consummate engineer. I can't think about Chris without thinking Legos, also a noun. Yeah, is that what I didn't quite, yeah. I love that. I love that so much. I love both of those things. Like he said when we were getting ready for the ceremony, we knew that we would enjoy working together when I unpacked my office in my current job. And I saw Legos on his desk, and then he saw Legos on my desk, and we were like, oh, it's simpatico, right? Like, this is gonna be just fine. In this case, the 3 words are a little bit different. It's not a series, it's not independent adjectives. It's not a cliche when it's this obvious, and I mean that. Humble, servant, leader. Right? The people who have worked with Chris at the headquarters, or have worked with him in the past, you know this. First, humble. Like I mentioned, the things you learn when you read through someone's entire record, and you talk to them or prepare for something like this. Chris says, and I quote, he has always tried to live and lead by humility. Quote, recognizing that the people around me know a lot more than I do. I just need to make it easier for them to do their jobs. Also, I like to try to lead by doing, being willing to happily take on even menial tasks if that helps clear someone else's plate. I'm gonna really linger here for a second. That's not the way that all the airmen in our service are. It's the way that I wish we all were. But you know, when the thing that someone says that they are trying to be is exactly what they demonstrably are, that is unique and special. It speaks volumes. It says to me that this is an officer and a man who knows himself very well, is very comfortable with exactly who he is, and is confident to be himself. It's an inspiration. Humble. A lot of you don't know a lot of these things because they're not hung up on banners in his wall and he doesn't tell you about them. But a lot of these deserve to get bragged about one more time. I'm gonna do it quick. Undergrad at Cornell, distinguished graduate of Air Force ROTC at Cornell, summa cum laude in mechanical engineering at Cornell, Dr. Theodore von Karman Fellow to the Institute of Technology, Air Force Institute of Technology, 3.9 GPA in a master's in aeronautic engineering, making him a couple years into his career an incredibly highly trained engineering killer. BS mechanical and a MS aero. Made flight commander, I think unusually early, absolutely killed it. CGO of the year, company grade officer of the year, like a whole bunch of times. Number ones all throughout his record. Wing Cy John Award winner as a young CGO, Cy John Award for leadership and service, extraordinary leadership and service beyond your peers. Selected for Air Force Test Pilot School, phoned it in, no. DG of Air Force Test Pilot School, number one in his class in a whole bunch of the courses that he took there, number two overall on the tests and on the comprehensive final exam. The number ones continue, like I said, huge impact on real world capabilities, some that we can talk about, a whole bunch that we can't really in any detail, but some of them that you would know right away. Helped lead the team to rapidly field a counter IED capability in Iraq, saving lives, directly saving lives. I keep alluding to, of course, it's all you can do. Worked on programs of direct interest to the secretary. Like, we all want to claim that when we're fighting for money, but there are only a few that are actually of direct interest to the secretary, and he led test activities for, I think, a couple of those. Again, a Cy John Award winner, again, a company grade officer of the year, and then as a brand new major, which puts you in like a new competitive category, the number one field grade officer. I'm trying to translate it, the test and evaluation field grader of the year, air command and staff with an amazing GPA, a bunch more, okay, right? You don't know any of that because it's not up on the banners in his wall, and he's not the kind of guy that's gonna tell you, which I think is all the better to demonstrate humility. A fellow at Argonne National Labs, I have to say this one. For senior service school, they send most of us to school to make us smarter. They send a few of us to the national labs to show them how smart Air Force kids can be. And I mean it. Like, I think it's not a lot of people who get to go outside the Department of Defense entirely to represent us in our technical community. Okay, so not wanting to like completely pound that to death, but there's an awful lot to be proud about in Chris's record, even for someone as humble as Chris. Servant. Obviously, a life of service to our nation, the Air Force's core values, service before self. But beyond that, he further lives a life of service. It's like a life of service because I'm wearing this uniform, but then there's a life of service. So a whole bunch of you have heard me say probably a bunch of times. It's the diversion that I take virtually every single time about my why. I earnestly believe that to be alive in this time and in this place means that every single one of us is richly blessed. Like, uncommonly richly blessed. And I believe that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I think it's my business to help pass along the blessings of peace and security to our next generation, because I was richly blessed by them from our prior generation. And that's what we do in the Air Force, right? Is to try to make sure that we pass along peace and security to our next generation. Here in Air Force Materiel Command, we provide the stuff that provides for peace and security. And I know that Chris feels the same way, which is why he is committed to a life of service. Because if you talk to him, you'll know he also feels richly blessed. I think we all should. And third, what was the third one? Leader. Chris is a quiet, contemplative, yet weirdly persuasive leader. Incredibly effective leader. It is fantastic watching him work the staff. The job we do now, I really thought a couple of my one-star counterparts were going to be here, and I was going to let him in on the secret. There's at least one deputy here. Like, I don't know if I want to tell the secret. Like, Chris is working your staffs over. I'm kidding. But because leadership of formal leadership is when, I'm the highest ranked person, I'm in charge. That's easy. Informal leadership among your peers, is infinitely more complicated. And what Chris quietly and humbly does, but very persuasively, is helps lead our massive organization to make efficient decisions, to make the right decisions. And it is just really, really cool to watch happen. He's been an absolute indispensable teammate, like I said, a leader, a mentor for all of us. I love that whole leading peers and leading up. Like, I cherish it when he says to me, like, have you thought about, I love it. Like, I beg for it. And he does it, and he does it really, really well, and he's always right. I think there's another part about being a leader, and I told him there's gonna be at least one Lego story. He has heard this story. Another quick diversion. There I was. I think I was like 6. I won't tell the long version. I was building a Lego tower, and I needed a whole bunch of the same piece. It was like a tower, lattice structure. And I needed a bunch of pieces that were 6 weird parts long. I needed like every single one that I had in my inventory, and I couldn't find one. I'm like, I'm just gonna make one of them with 2 3s. Like, what? I mean, it's like 12 level, like, it's not gonna matter, right? And my dad was like, no. And essentially the lesson was, because if your foundation is flawed, then it's all gonna go wrong. Chris epitomizes this: do the right thing and do it the right way. And that is the way he has been a leader in our Air Force. I don't know if I forced it, but I had to tell the Lego story. Okay, so that's what I think about when I think of Chris, and I reflect on his service to our nation, humble, servant, leader. And I know that all of you who know him personally, I hope that a whole bunch of what I've said rings really, really true. And I know that it's in large part because another thing that is demonstrably true about Chris, that whether he's talking about it or not, is that he is very clearly a man of faith, a strong and abiding faith that guides him in his actions, that guides him in his love of all of us, and his love of nation, and his commitment to service. And it is an inspiration to see him in action, and it's an inspiration. It's really, really valuable that I know that young airmen all throughout his career have gotten to see that in him, and be inspired by it. I've only had the pleasure of working with Chris for the past 10 months or so. It's funny, there was almost a typo here. It feels like 10 years. It's been a big year. And I personally absolutely positively could not have done it in the job that Chris and I share without him there. So awfully glad that you have been there. It's been an absolute pleasure serving alongside you. Chris, who we all know is a consummate gentleman, a consummate professional, and now he's going to leave us. And that's terrible. It's terrible to me. But I know he's going to stay real busy. Sometimes I would talk about the retirees' plans after, but his plans are Legos. So that's all you need to know. He has an amazing project that he's wrapping up, ready to publish on the Legos Idea program. Hit him up, he'll tell you all about it. It's amazing. I'm sure there'll be some other things beyond just Legos. But But for sure, he will always be part of the Air Force family and the Air Force Materiel Command family, as will all of you. And I know we're going to continue to see you around. So, before we make your retirement official, I want to say a couple last final things. One is just thank you personally. Like I tried to start with, you are part of the heritage of air power, part of the Air Force's long legacy of service to our nation, to our national security, and we sincerely thank you for that steadfast commitment. And two, well done, faithful servant. Not that servant is what, well done, faithful airman. Well done, faithful man. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, General Lindsay. Today, we pay special tribute to Colonel Snyder and his family on the occasion of his retirement, a career culminating in 28 years and 9 months of distinguished service to the United States Air Force and our great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. General Lindsay will now present the Legion of Merit to Colonel Snyder. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Legion of Merit to Colonel Chris H. Snyder. Colonel Chris H. Snyder distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct and performance of outstanding service to the United States as Deputy Director, Strategic Plans, Programs, Requirements, and Analysis Directorate, Headquarters, Air Force Materiel Command, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, from 15 June 2023 to 31 May 2025. During this period, Colonel Snyder chaired the AFMC group and shepherded the command's program objective memorandum process, advocating for $20 billion in AFMC requirements and Air Force corporate needs. His team successfully identified $477 million in internal programming to fund 8 of the commander's top priority disconnects, capturing strategic wins 2 years in a row. As executive agent for the command's strategic plan, he steered the execution of 44 initiatives across 4 flag-level lines of effort. He managed 15 4-star engagements, ultimately delivering threat-informed capabilities to warfighters, igniting innovation and enterprise solutions, and advocating digital methods in Air Force acquisition processes. Finally, Colonel Snyder oversaw multiple command-level war games, experimenting with force structures and operational concepts, enabling his team to exquisitely integrate logistics into Title X war games and refine agile combat employment strategies for joint and allied forces. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Snyder culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of our country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as General Lindsay retires Colonel Snyder.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number AL000805, dated 9 July 2024, effective 31 May 2025. You are relieved from active duty, Strategic Plans, Programs, Requirements, and Analysis Directorate, Headquarters, Air Force Materiel Command, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, and retired effective 1 June 2025 per AFI 363203, in the grade of Colonel, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. General Lindsay will now present the retirement certificate to Colonel Snyder. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America to all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Colonel Chris Snyder, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of June, 2025. Signed, General David W. Elvin, Air Force Chief of Staff, and General Duke Z. Richardson, Commander, Air Force Material Command. Colonel Snyder also received a congratulatory letter from President Donald Trump, which is on display near the receiving line. I would like to invite Miss Laura Snyder to the stage for the presentation of the Air Force Retirement Pin and the Spouse Certificate of Appreciation. This pin is to be worn on the left lapel next to your heart, where you can always wear it with pride. It signifies to everyone that the wearer of this pin has served his country well and honorably. Now I'd like to read the Spouse Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Laura M. Snyder for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General David W. Elvin, Air Force Chief of Staff, and General Duke Z. Richardson, Commander, Air Force Material Command. Thank you, Laura. Will the honor guard please come forward for the flag folding ceremony? For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white and a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag represented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at the seeing of the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies in constellations of the Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, No generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are, stands for the freedom we all share, and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Colonel Snyder, the flag of the United States of America is the ultimate symbol of freedom, which you have defended. May this flag always remind you of the heights to which you aspired and your personal accomplishments during your dedicated service to the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present to you for the very first time, Colonel Chris H. Snyder, United States Air Force, retired.
Wow, thank you. Let's move up. Hey, hold it. So I can actually see you the same way here. Let me try this.
I didn't think of that. He should have said, hey, have you thought of...
Oh, thank you, General Lindsay. Kind remarks, much more than I deserve. Thank you. Thank you, Rob, singing the national anthem. Just amazing. You're a brave man. Would never do that in front of people. That's crazy. But thank you. Thanks, Pastor Paul, for asking God's blessing on this event. Thanks to the Honor Guard. That moves me every time I see that. But once it's your flag, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. Thanks to Major Britton for narrating all your work leading up today. Captain Cunell for keeping all the merch organized back here. We'll get into later. Chris Peterson, Chris Boring, thank you guys for helping work today and hosting. The Air Force Museum staff, this is what a better place. Can't think of a better place than being here. So thank you for doing this. All of our distinguished visitors, family, friends. I know a lot of the headquarters leadership team. Thank you for being here. Your time is extremely valuable. I know the meeting schedule that's on a Friday even, and it's amazing that you're here. I also know, though, that several of you are here because you could get out of the strategic plan update with Jeff Richardson. So you are welcome for that one, at least. But anyway, thanks to everybody for coming, sharing this special day with me and my family. Truly honored to see everybody here. But, incredible day. As you walk out of the gift shop, which they force you out through the gift shop, of course, to buy things, you'll see one of those spiral wishing wells. Have you ever seen where the coin starts at the top, right? It's all nice and calm on the outside edge as it goes around, and then it slowly works its way down to the bottom. And then when it gets down to the very end, right, it's just like crazy, it's blurry. You can barely tell what it is. That's to me, right? You hit your retirement button about a year in advance, and you're just nice, and you can't even imagine what's happened until these last few weeks, and all of a sudden, it's just a blur at the bottom. The analogy breaks down there, though, because there's not a big pile of money waiting for me at the bottom like that. But you get the idea, at least the first part of that. Today is certainly well worth that chaos in the last few weeks and months here getting ready for this, but amazing. I think we were just joking. I was joking with a friend. The amount of paperwork you sign to get into the military does not even compare to the amount that you sign to get out. Unbelievable. I don't know what happened. But so what does one say at their own retirement ceremony? I was tempted to ask ChatGPT to do the whole thing like that. I thought that would be pretty interesting. But that wouldn't be a good example for my kids and their homework abilities here. So I thought I could try to pass on my own wisdom, but I'm pretty much one of the least qualified here to do that. Unless the topic contains the phrase Lego, like we talked about, maybe geometry homework, maybe robotics, something like that. So really you wouldn't walk away with anything useful except maybe a handful of Cheryl's cookies and some pointless Lego trivia, such as there are more minifigures on Earth than there are people, over 8 billion. So, my first priority, honestly, is to sincerely express my thankfulness to a career full of people that have shaped, helped, mentored, encouraged me. And it's only through the support of others that I'm able to look back over a couple decades of an Air Force career. And I hope that some of the highest praise and gratitude I can show today is by passing on the wisdom, things that I've learned from people. The things I'm about to mention aren't just things I've remembered. In many cases, often they're things that have shaped my life. And so I want to just share a few things that others have passed on to me that have done that. I'd like to start with one of my former bosses who couldn't be here today. Mr. Ricky Peters, he's now retired. He was an SES, Senior Executive Service, which is basically a civilian general officer. He was here in headquarters A3 when I was a major. He taught me the importance of humility, even when you're in a senior leader position. His famous quote was, "You can't swing a dead cat on this base without hitting another SES." And I like the visual, it makes me chuckle, but it truly described what he was. He saw himself as, yes, he was a senior leader, but he was surrounded by others that could easily take his place and easily do the job he was doing. And just humble man. Loved working with him. And even though I'm incredibly blessed to be retiring as a colonel today, I realized that if I had a dead cat of my own, I'd be swinging around and hitting a lot more people that are more qualified than me to be here. But which is actually a great segue. I start my thanks to those on stage here with me. I didn't realize until we get to put the programs together that Brigadier General Lindsay and I are in the same year group, a friend in the Air Force, 1996. If you look through there, you can see the year discrepancies start to move along, and he was a much faster burner than I was. But it was just neat to see that the times there. And again, like you'd mentioned, I figured you would be a great boss. Saw the Lego flowers come out and the Lego on there. Anybody who decorates their Lego desk is quite okay. I do appreciate your humble and your approachable leadership style. Your Gardner leadership philosophy. That's one that I will always remember as well. So I'm not going to say it because I ask him about it when I get the chance, but I do promise I will plagiarize it at some point and credit you for it. But thank you. That's great. If it were an easy thing to do, I would gladly roll back my retirement date another year and work in that 85, 89 garden as long as I could. But Laura and I reserved City Barbecue this afternoon, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to let us out of that. Major Britain, thank you again for the thankless job of narrator today. I've done that before, and the stakes are high, right? Because typically the best you can hope for is not, just plowing through somebody's name and just at least getting the words right. We threw a tough one at you. I think the toughest one was Katusha, but he did a great job, so thank you for that. And thankful sake, like the job you've done as our exec, you've knocked it out of the park. I can go on about your skills as an organizer, communicator, and all-around cat herder, but what I've learned from you is your ability to weave the Lord into any conversation as natural as I've heard anyone do. Your heart, faith, and care for others are commendable, so thank you. That's two of the four folks I've worked with closely the past a little bit here of time. I don't want to forget the other two. Dr. Stevens. It's been a pleasure working with you. Not just because you're a fellow flight test engineer, because you went to test pilot school before I did, and that makes me feel younger. Thank you. I do appreciate the wisdom you've shown. You can look at things through a big picture, the strategic items passing through organization every day through a tester, through a technical standpoint, and I've learned from you. Thank you. Allie, you've passed on some great wisdom the last couple of years. I've learned there's no way we'd be able to keep up with letting our kids play ice hockey if we wanted to do that, even though we love the game. She never missed a chance to remind me of the next Introduce Your Kids to Ice Hockey weekend, and it was often very tempting. It was very close. I don't know how you and Ryan keep up with it all. My hat's off to you, for sure. But more than that, thanks for keeping our front office running so smoothly, for all your leadership behind the scenes and the fun you brought to the office. But thank you for not making too much fun of me when I came in from our Friday morning skates and not saying something like, "Aren't you going to break a hip someday?" And I figured that was coming. But your restraint was admirable. Thank you. And congrats to Dylan for making the varsity team. Please let us know when he has games next year. We want to come cheer him on. To our Div Chiefs, Kristen, Stefan, Chris, Tim, and James, you guys are the Fantastic Five, truly. I should have made t-shirts. If I would have had more time, I thought of this last night. I would have made t-shirts. Maybe I still will. I've got some time on terminal. But you guys are truly the experts I turn to, right? The leaders out in front of the people, the true professionals ever since. It was a pleasure working closely with you. You guys are the reason our organization runs. Thank you. Everyone else in 8589, thank you for coming out. I wish I could mention everybody by name, but know that I am impressed every day by the amazing work and professionalism I see and come into. It's a great place to be here, every day to work. And quickly before I leave the directorate, both literally and here in my comments, I wanted to make a brief presentation. General Lindsay doesn't know anything about this, but I figured that's okay. It's always a great thing to surprise your boss with something. A little bit of a show and tell. I noticed I don't have a great visual here, but here's a look at our current patch for 589. So it's just it's displayed nice and proudly all over the place. A couple key takeaways you'll see from it. The scales with the money and the airplane on them, they represent the delicate balancing act between requirements and resources. Right? We always want something to do something more than what we can afford for it to do. And the magnifying glass there is intended to symbolize that scrutiny of data analysis that informs those decisions as we make those trade-offs and those choices to balance those scales. Well, General Lindsay, he wanted us to work on generating a new coin because we switched from a civilian leadership to military director this past year. And I'll say right off the bat, I am not a great graphic designer. I totally identify with this. This is probably one of my favorite memes. It says, "Graphic design is my passion," right? And you'll see, if you've ever seen this, I love this one, right? It's just this horrible 8-color gradient, just bubble font, and just a clip art cat sitting on the thing. It's my passion. That's what I feel like when I graphic design. But so Major Britain and I said, okay, we'll try and do that. We'll try and work on this for you. So one of the main changes he wanted to make was replace the magnifying glass with more of a torch, right, to better symbolize that the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. He wanted to include also the gear that's on our FMC patch, the ASM logo as part of the mechanism. So Mike and I consulted. We looked at some generative AI websites. We made some proofs. We went back and forth with General Lindsay, and we finally came up with a draft that didn't completely stink. And this is yeah, again, this is just a notional first draft of Cutler, and not bad. I mean, it's okay. But he graciously asked us if he knew of any professionals who could help out. So we did. We started to go to find somebody else because this is the best I could do. And I won't give away the final design. I think we're getting close. It's much better than this, believe me. But you'll be excited to see the final product in the near future. I was a bit disappointed that I couldn't see the coin production to the end. So I wanted to turn the General's vision into something in physical form before he retired. So I'd like to present General Lindsay, the first of its kind that I know of. This is an A589 torch and scales in Lego form, complete with a custom printed A589 minifigure. Money on one side, custom mini Air Force jet on the other, including the fictional WP tailcode for Wright-Patterson. And sir, I'm sorry, I'm a horrible graphic designer, but hopefully this one. Okay. Now, I want to transition to a couple folks that are great designers. Back in Pioneer, Kevin Kuhnel. Josh, he was our exec in the LCMC, the Lifecycle Management Center Engineering Directorate, the last year I was there. As we were thinking through who I'd like to help out on stage today, I could not think of a sharper young officer. Well, he's not as young as some, since he's prior enlisted, but that's why he's so sharp. He has the engineering job that I wish I could have had years ago. He's at the RDIF, the Rapid Development Integration Facility. And you think of kind of a one-stop shop where you design, build, and install modifying things to modify aircraft or weapon systems. He gives me hope for the future of Air Force engineers, not because he's great at what he does, because he doesn't look down at his shoelaces when he talks to you like most engineers. Right? Myself included. It's been amazing working with you, Josh, and thank you for being a part of this day with us. And Rebecca and Riley, I lost word. Thank you. Thank you for being great friends to our family too. Rob. In addition to being a great singer and musician, Rob is a fellow engineer. We shared a wall for a couple years when I was the EN deputy. He was the chief of staff to the director. Those are some great years, although I'm sure we suffered by how easy it was to have just side conversations just about things, and we lost track of time. You taught me a love for your family and a total willingness to sacrifice to others. If there was ever a servant leader model, you'd be it, in my opinion. Thanks for your friendship, and we hope to see much more of you in our own retirement years, for sure. While I'm on an engineer streak, shout out to all the other EN brothers and sisters here. Thank you for being here. I've been surrounded by program managers for almost 2 years in the headquarters, and it's great to see some friendly engineering faces. Or maybe I'm just noticing you now because I'm not looking down at my shoelaces. So either way, thank you for coming out. One such engineer I need to mention, though, is Frank Delsing. He's not only the engineer, but he's a C-130 pilot, and he went to test pilot school, the same class went to the test pilot course. I was in the flight test engineer side. 04 Alpha, so long ago. That's right, Card Sharks. Frank really sharpened me, and I saw his faith on display during our year of TPS. And I want to thank you for your boldness to stand for Christ in a community, the operator community, which is very hard to swim upstream like that. I appreciate that. That was an example for me. Thank you. Thanks to all our church family here. So many of you, thank you. You guys are a huge part of our lives. Many of you know us since we were the first time, right, Pat? As a couple, your love and support has been unwavering. We love you all. Colonel retired Brian Schaefer. I know Gail couldn't be here. Thanks, Brian. It might have started out as a joke in AFPC Personnel Center, as they sent us pretty much our families to the same locations multiple times, kind of just staggered by about a year. But God obviously used that to be a blessing to both families, at least ours for sure. Thank you for your wisdom and your counsel, not only in Air Force matters, but in family matters, and for providing for some much needed stability for Laura and the kids as we found ourselves all over the country. It was great to have a family that was with us often. One piece of wisdom I did learn from Brian: never challenge him to a random feat of strength or endurance. like treading water while holding a brick. But he learned a similar lesson that don't challenge Laura with something like that because she'll take you up on that. So I forget who won, but it was a good competition. That's right. All right. Move over to Mom and Dad. Thanks for making the trip here for us. They have traveled across the country multiple times. We were in California, and they would drive all the way across, at least twice, at least Nevada to California a couple times. They will travel just to be a part of their family. Dad, one of the things you taught me when I was in my early teens has stuck with me for decades. I was faced with a decision whether or not to participate in something was, I would call it morally ambiguous, at least in my mind. Most of you probably would know that my parents used to lead wilderness trips out for the Sierra Club out west. There's even a National Geographic magazine that features them. Dad described one of the main hazards they had to worry about when they were camping and hiking. It was poisonous rattlesnakes, which are typically found below the timberline. If you're well above a certain elevation, you could be confident you wouldn't have an encounter. But the closer you stayed near the timberline, the more danger you placed yourself in, and the more likely you were to run into one. And so the lesson he taught me that if you find yourself in a seemingly morally ambiguous situation, how close do you want to pitch your tent to that timberline? Wisdom calls out to separate from such situations as much as possible. Dad, I think you basically beat Dr. Bob Jones Sr. to his famous quote, "Do right until the stars fall." Mom, you're a literal superwoman. I've never known anyone who thrives on getting things done quite like you do. You're a grandma of 5, and yet you're still clearing trails through the woods, cutting firewood for next winter, building twig furniture now, playing the accordion, and babysitting an entirely too energetic dog, and that's all on a slow day. I feel I've picked up, though, your work ethic, at least a part of it. I can't claim the same level as you, but I also picked up your love for organizing things into lists, the need to tackle new projects when it looks like I'm running out of things to do. But more than anything, you've taught me how to genuinely and wholeheartedly love and sacrifice for your family. Our kids have the absolute best of grandma they could ever ask for. And so we're proud to have you and Dad here today. All right, Karen, my sister. We grew up together, just the two of us. Karen, of course, is the more mature one. I won't say how much mature, but no, I don't have very many vivid memories from back in my grade school years, but one with you stands out, and I think you'll know what this is. You would have been in high school at the time. I'm sure I was a brat at times when Mom and Dad were gone, probably when they were there too. But one day, I poked you in the face with an umbrella when we were inside the house. Needless to say, you were quite angry at your kid brother, and I ran away as quick as I could. I didn't have any time to put shoes on, and I was probably cartoonish to see me just struggling with the fear in my face to get out, to work the doorknob and get out before she reached me. Every second passed, you were closing the gap. Somehow, I made it outside in that split second before you got there, but I was betrayed by my socks and no shoes, and I just slipped and fell down. You ran up to me and proceeded to kick me in the head. And so I learned an important lesson that day. Right? If you're going to pick on someone much bigger than you, at least have a well thought out plan in advance and put your shoes on before you try and run away. But really, Karen's how I got my introduction to the Air Force. When I was in high school, she was an intel officer stationed in Guam. She and John were there. It's not every day that a high school kid gets to travel halfway around the world, visit his big sister. I remember being so proud of what you were doing, even though I obviously had no real grasp of what it was at the time. But that set in motion a bunch of decisions that eventually led me to start my Air Force journey, and I'm so thankful for that. And then John and Sam, a blessing having you guys travel all the way to be with our family, to put all our family together. You guys drove in from Wisconsin yesterday. Sam just flew in from Texas today. John has an Air Force history as well. He was a B-52 tail gunner and a C-141 flight engineer. So this museum has some great history. It's great. We ran around the base a little bit this morning. I'll still be bitter at that busload of school kids who took our C-17 tour this morning, though. But it's okay. We had fun. Thank you, though, for the chance to bring our entire family back together this weekend. Something hasn't happened in many years. It means the world to us, and we can't wait to catch up with you this weekend. Tim and Rita, you guys have always been an encouragement to us from the very first day that you met my bride-to-be and all the way through today. It means so much that you're here with us today. Thank you. All right, we're getting there. Katusha, thanks for traveling from North Carolina to be here. I know Tony is bummed he couldn't make it. We will certainly miss him. Thank you for setting me up with your sister all those years ago, having us over at game nights, nurturing our relationship as we got to know each other. Your family was a rock that each of us needed in our own way, and we love you guys so much. And the girls, Mackenzie, Madison, Macy, Malin, anyone get the pattern there? You've always been a second family to us. To me as well, inviting me into your world from day one. We were talking about memories the other day. Thanks for sharing your Lala with me all those years ago. You're growing up way too fast. And Mackenzie and Adam, thank you for being here. And thank you for your service to our country in the Marine Corps. Amazing, thanks guys. All right, back up front here, Maya. Maya is our hard worker and our comedic relief. She's also an amazing soccer player, played for Cedarville. Totally electrified her team, both when she was on the field and when she was on the sidelines, jumping and cheering like a mad woman. But I'd say the best thing that you learned on the field wasn't teamwork. I'd say that it was that your identity isn't found in the number of goals or the amount of time on the field. When I heard that one of your favorite things about soccer at Cedarville was it was writing a letter of encouragement to your number mates on the other team, and then praying together as a team afterwards. That's when I knew you found your priorities. And so we're proud of you and how you've grown in your faith, and we're excited to see you finally start a family of your own later this year. Just like today, that'll be here before we know it, believe me. You'll be in that little funnel as well. And Kyle, thank you for being a big part of our family already. We look forward to the years ahead, for all that's in store for you and Maya. Thanks for being here today. Mallory, she's our organizer who takes after her grandma, lists and all. I'm pretty sure you're probably the one that's bothered the most that I didn't retire at an even number of years, just to make it sound good. Yeah, I know. We love watching you on the soccer field also, but the times that mean the most are those after-game 1v1 matchups where I try to summon some non-existent soccer skills of my own, get schooled just about every time. But let's never stop doing that. You have a sweet spirit, a beautiful voice, and dedication to doing all the things at your best. We love seeing you grow as a young lady with a heart for the Lord. And Ethan is our builder. Probably about 80% of our Lego collection is because we tried to keep up with his appetite for building things. He's also our coder, at least he was when we had a Lego robotics team. So I might have Major Britton talk to you afterwards about what's all in Air Force cyber these days. Play piano extremely well, even though the words you inevitably hear from me are turn the metronome back on. And all the games are interminably long. It's fun to watch you play junior high baseball. You're doing great. And I'm not sure I'm ready for the day that you're taller than I am, but that's rapidly approaching. We're proud of the young man you're becoming. Just slow down a little bit. Lucas is our social butterfly. He makes friends instantly. And I lose track of all his neighborhood buddies. It seems like he has new ones passing through our house every week. And even though you weren't a year old yet, you did get one PCS under your belt with us, so thanks for putting up with the Air Force life with us. You have a wonderfully tender heart, and Laura is training you well to always want to take care of your mama. Never lose your love of Lego, or I'm gonna lose one of my valid excuses for buying them. All right, made it this far. Laura. So we've learned a lot through our years together in the Air Force. There is one piece of wisdom that I can pass on that's our own. To any active duty parents out there, hypothetically, let's say you get your next PCS orders and you want to share the news with your kids. You could plan a nice dinner with the entire family out in a nice restaurant. Nothing wrong with that. But things can quickly take a wrong turn when you use that dinner to break the news that you're moving across the country. And again, hypothetically, you end up with the entire restaurant looking at the scene created by an entire family crying, 3 grown kids because they just found out they're leaving their friends, the youngest crying because he's just a baby and he cries all the time anyway, and mom was crying because she felt bad for them, and then dad was upset he was paying for a family of 6 that wasn't eating their food, right? You get the idea. It's all hypothetical, but that's a lesson we'll pass on. At least wait until you've all had your dessert or something. But no, I would need to thank you for signing up for military life with me almost 17 years ago. It's all we've known together. You've been my closest companion, amazing mother of 4, hiking, biking, camping, kayaking buddy, the spaghetti to my waffle personality. You can ask about that later if you're confused. Here's what I want to loosely, though. I want to quote from Chaplain Frankie. He's our last command chaplain who retired last year. Many people would stand up here, they'd look at their spouse and say, I couldn't have done it without you. But that's not entirely true. There are many people today who have a successful Air Force career while single or geographically separated. So I probably could have done it without you. But the truth is, I wouldn't want to have done it without you. And I certainly couldn't have done it nearly as well without you. Thank you for all the PCS moves, the home and the church and the school changes, homeschooling our kids, bringing joy to our lives, and for supporting me in every way. You are the absolute best.
And these happen to be Lego flowers.
All right, finally. Thanks for bearing with us here. I need to say one more bit of thanks. And actually, that's quite the understatement. Because this thank you is to our God and Savior who makes every day possible. He's given me this wonderful family and nearly 3 decades worth of extended church and Air Force families. Any accomplishment you've heard today has been orchestrated by him, and I can't possibly put my thanks into adequate words. So I figured I'd close by quoting just a few lines from a team of my favorite songwriters, Matt Papa, Matt Boswell, Keith Getty, Brian Fowler. Here's just a couple lines. I boast not in riches, in strength or might, but in the grace of God. I glory in weakness, to live as Christ in plenty or in want. That I may know, and that all may see his power within me. All my boast is in Jesus. All my hope is his love. And I will glory forever in what the cross has done. I will miss the Air Force, especially all the amazing people like we have gathered here today. Man, it's wonderful. It's crazy to be up here and doing this. But thank you again for making this such a special occasion for us. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Colonel Snyder. The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Colonel Snyder and his wife, Laura. They extend their very best wishes and continued success as they depart. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the first verse of the Air Force song and remain in place for the departure of the official party and special guests.
Go into the wild blue yonder, finding how Here they come, soon to meet our thunder. Animals giving the gun. Down we dive, starting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, we're down in flames. Hey, nothing stop the U.S. Air Force.
This concludes today's adjournment ceremony, and you are invited to join the Snyders for receiving line to your right. We ask that you please remain in place until the official party and the families have departed. Thank you for attending today's special event, and have a great Air Force Day.
Vaulted over it. Back to this one.